Nothing, and I mean nothing, prepares you for the financial plot twist that happens when your kid turns 18. Your teenager cannot wait for all of the freedom that comes with being an adult, with none of the responsibility that comes from being an adult. And somewhere between 18 and this magical launch date where they become an adult is this ginormous gaping hole that's very expensive, and nobody warns you about it. Your kid needs financial literacy, and you need a plan that does not involve selling a kidney. And that's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Tiffany Dogie. I'm the president and CEO of Children's Harbor. And today I've got not one, not two, but three financial gurus who are going to talk about this with us.
Very nice.
So let's get going. Tell us who you are, what you do, and your most iconic financial mistake that you made at 18. Because if we're going to help parents, we need to admit that we were clueless when we were 18 too. So let's start with you, Mr. Palermo.
Well, my name's Artie Palermo. I am the founding partner of Palermo, Landsman & Ross, CPA firm, full-service CPA firm. We've been in business. I've been in business, CPA business, for 40 years in this area, South Florida area. And we have clients, all over the country and the world. Full-service firm. My financial mistake. Okay.
All right, make it big.
I graduated from high school at 17, and when we moved down from New York when I was about 10, I took up golf. So I was on the golf team for Cooper City High, right in Cooper City, Florida. So on the golf team. And then when I went to college, now I had to work to pay for college. Now it was a lot less expensive back then.
Right.
My parents didn't have the money, so I had to, come up with the money and buy the semester. So I worked, a couple of jobs. So when I went into college, I wanted to, join the golf team. And I had to quit one of the jobs because the coach wanted you to practice 5 hours a day, every day. And what's funny is that only lasted like a month. I got behind on my bills, but I had to quit because when you're number one in high school on the golf team, then you go to college, you go all the way back to last place. You're number 15.
Yeah.
So down here in Florida, the players were way better. So what I did was I corrected it real quick, to limit the damage. But in 1 month, I got behind because I quit one of my 2 or 3 jobs, which was sustaining me to pay for my college. That's what happened. It's not a major play.
I feel so sad now.
No. Well, I was
more golf is never an issue.
No,
but
what's funny is the golf career, there was no golf career coming out.
No, there wasn't.
Not even close.
No.
And it was way too much practice because they wanted to win tournaments. And only the top 5 play.
And they weren't paying
And I was
you
at
to
number
play.
15. I went right to the back of the line, number 15, and it was over. So, I played with it in my mind for a month. It wasn't a major financial mistake. So, I got out of it real quick.
Okay. All right. Tell me you have something brighter.
a little bit. I'm Abigail Wade. I'm a financial advisor. I'm a certified financial planner. I work for RM Wade & Company. I work for my dad with my dad. So we are a full-service financial services. We do wealth management and investment planning and financial planning for individuals, families, and we love to work with small businesses as well. So we also have a podcast called Wade Through It All, so shameless plug for that, father-daughter. But I would say my most, I don't know if this is iconic, but a financial mistake that I kind of regret looking back is right when I got to college, I got a job, much like Artie. I was working retail, really fun, Vineyard Vines, if anyone knows the brand. I lived in Chicago, so it was like there was tons of stores I could work at. So I worked there, really fun. But the mistake I made was every dollar I made was just fun money. It was concerts, drinking,
Vineyard
dinners,
Vines.
maybe Vineyard Vines, maybe a yoga class, like all fun things. And looking back, I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish, knowing what I know now, and I did know in the back of my mind because I'm the daughter of a financial advisor, putting the money in a Roth IRA or maybe beefing up my savings.
Oh my, can
so
you
I would
imagine?
say, that's a mistake where I'm like, oh boy, those, maybe $200 or $300 a month instead of putting that towards fun money, which looking back, it's obviously fun, but that's a mistake that I wish that I could have changed.
Okay.
Your turn. Great. Hi, I'm Whitney Coombs. I am a tax partner at Cohn Resnick. I specialize in bringing tax strategy to closely held businesses and family-owned companies. I've been doing this for almost 20 years, also in the South Florida area. I love working with small business owners and bringing them strategy and figuring out how we can do multi-generational planning for them. So one of my biggest financial mistakes when I was 18, I didn't come from a family that had really planned to put money away for college. So I had applied for every scholarship, received a few of them. However, my parents really encouraged me to apply for loans, right? So I start applying for loans and I get these loans and the money's used for living expenses. I didn't have the fun money. I also had a job. But about a year into it, so in the second year of college, I start realizing that this balance is accumulating really quickly.
Yeah.
And how am I going to pay for this, right? And there was no discussion in my family about these loans that you take out and the repayments.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
take out these loans so that you can go to college. And it pays for a meal plan, it paid for the living expenses. But I quickly readjusted my second year to only apply for exactly what I needed and to budget. So I did correct it quickly, but my first year, I took out way too much money and paid a lot of interest on that money. And it, haunted me in my first couple years of adulthood. So that was my biggest
all
financial
the adults
mistake.
in your life are counseling you, this is what you need to do. Like, it's
Everybody.
totally normal.
Yeah.
It's totally normal.
They signed the Parent Plus loan, no problem, but it was on me, right? It was still going to be my responsibility the whole time. It was just that this is what you do in middle class of America. And
It is absolutely what you were counseled to do by every single adult in your life.
Correct.
All right. Here we go, guys. What minimum financial skills should your teenager have before they graduate from high school? Don't everybody answer at once.
They really need to know how to manage their bank account, their checking
that's
account.
huge.
I really feel like by the time they finish high school, they're a little young for their own credit card, but they need to understand budgeting. They need to understand how they pay bills online and the cadence which those invoices need to be paid.
Which means they should have a bank account before they graduate from high school.
Yes.
Correct.
Something that's also really important with the bank account is knowing the value of a dollar. I know it seems like easy as 1, 2, 3, but knowing, maybe what inflation is, what is compound interest. These are simple things that, we may not learn in school, in high school. So driving those points home and then connecting the cost or the value of a dollar to tuition prices, which is probably something that's it's affected by inflation the most, is an inflation, for tuition. So knowing the value of a dollar, the cost of tuition, and then also like debt. What is the burden of debt, in interest rate versus, okay, if you're putting away X amount and you can earn this interest rate, but you also have debt at the same time at this interest rate, how are you going to outpace that? So, without getting into the weeds, just the value of a dollar, I would say, is very important.
I had in my conference room for the young adults who came in, it was a simple sheet of paper that said, how much do I have to put in at 5% or 6%, okay, at the time, into an account from starting at 20, starting at 30, or starting at 40 to accumulate $1 million by the age of 65. Now, when you did the 20, it was like $180 something a month. Then when you went to the 30, it was like $900 and something. When you went to the 40, it was like $6,000. Like, it was so enormous, the difference. So, like, the rule that I came up with, which I impart on clients and people, is the first rule is start as soon as possible.
Yes.
The second one was make it a monthly contribution. And it could be 100 monthly contributions.
Right.
And the third one is make it automatic.
Yes.
You see, they have this, and all the
huge.
excuses I get. What if I don't have the money next month? There's something they invented. There's something so cool. It's called a telephone. You can actually pick it up, and you can call. Stop taking the money out of my checking account going into. You can actually do that. It's really neat. They invented a telephone a while back, so you can actually do that. So I get rid of all the excuses day one. Another thing that I did a long time ago, I started saving at 13, even though my family never had money. So I got that idea of putting a little away, a little away. So when I became an adult, every kid in the family or people I knew, I started setting up 529 accounts for them. Even if they were, I don't care whether they were it's a college savings plan. So I had 11 of them. Some I put in,
You had 11 accounts for yourself?
No, for different. I'm the owner.
Oh, okay.
But
For the
then the
benefit of-
beneficiaries were 11 different kids.
Yeah.
So what happened is I would have some started out at $25 a month.
Okay.
And now some are $500 a month. But what happens is over 18 years, when the kid's born, you start way before high school. you start doing this, even if it's a small amount, and all of a sudden, it's like you have all these piles and they get enormous. You just ignore it because it's happening.
Yeah.
You ignore it. Now, you're not supposed to ignore it. You're supposed to watch the investments, but the concept was ignoring it. And then all of a sudden, you had 11 massive piles. Now, if the kid doesn't even go to school or has to prepaid, I think you could roll it into a Roth. There's so many
plenty
things.
of options.
There's
Lots of
so many
planning
options.
programs.
I've heard that if you put away $100 up, if your child's born, okay, you have an infant child, you put away $100 a month. By the time that child is 18, that account should be worth.
It depends on the interest rate, depends on what
Yeah.
you're investing and a lot of other stuff. Like, and what's cool about this,
Range. What it should be worth what in a range? Like
you really
average.
can't we probably wouldn't even answer that because we don't know what the interest rate's going to be.
math people, they have
Yeah.
to be so specific.
100 a month,
That's a
it's
lot of money.
$1,200 a year
It's a lot
times
of money.
18. So you would say that would be somewhere around 20 of that. You're looking at only $1,200 a year. So that's about
Look at him doing math
It's
in
a
his
human
head.
financial calculator.
12,000 plus maybe 24 grand, and then it probably will double. So maybe you'll have, I don't know, 35 to 55,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Potentially. You
That's
could
a
have.
lot of money to
Yeah.
start. Like
A
even
little
if you
bit
just
over a
had,
long period of time is so huge.
Yeah, the law is
Yeah.
72s.
Yeah.
You can try if it's 6% every 12 years, it'll double. So
But you couple that with the Florida prepaid, and now you
Right.
have
Right.
your
Like a nice
child.
lunch. A
Yeah,
nice
their schooling should be mostly paid for, at least for their undergrad.
absolutely.
But it's a nice, like that extra pot of money that helps you launch your first apartment, helps you launch your first
Yes.
vehicle, helps
Yes.
you launch, like if that's, and it's $100 a month. But okay, I
Yes.
before we even answered this, I said your child should have a bank account because you guys are math people, right? But large number of the population are not math people. And so really there's a huge percentage of parents that don't even have bank accounts for their kids before they graduate from high school. So I hate to say we need to dumb it down a bit, but let's talk to people who have never had, like their kid might be getting an allowance or not. Lately there's been this trend where you just pay for whatever there
Comes
is.
up,
There is a
yeah.
concept that's called an allowance where you earn the privilege of fun money, which is apparently fading away quickly in our society. But if we're talking to a parent, I know.
That's so interesting to me.
Yes.
We have an allowance, we have a chore chart, and that's how my kids earn those
their money.
coveted
That's how we
Robux
operate
that
it,
everyone
yeah.
wants.
That's
So
how they learn that. That's how you.
those coveted Robux, they
Instill
can earn
the
them by
value.
doing 30 chores on that chore chart every
That's
week.
right. You
Wow.
have to earn
Like
it. It
angel
doesn't
children.
just come to you. But if you're
Cool.
talking to a parent who has not even opened a bank account for
Right.
their kid, where do you start when your kid knows nothing? You've
Well,
basically been.
I had a client that, was really ahead of the curve on this, who was very heavy into money, and he was an engineer. When his kid was 9 years old, he actually had a chore list, and then he also paid for some things. That's how we taught him about money. Like if you do something extra, because there's a lot of extra things, and the kid would negotiate
That's great.
at 9, 10 years old.
That's great.
Hey, Dad, can I clean out the garage? Will you give me $20? And then he goes, the father would say 10, and the kid would say 15, and they'd settle at 15.
Negotiate.
And then this
I
kid
love
would
that.
build. So this kid knows the value of earning it.
Yes.
Okay. And then you could then structure like what my brother did with his son, set up all the accounts, even at not a fake credit card. I think it's like a thing where you could charge and it goes to an account.
Right.
And you could have a limited amount in there.
You can control
Kid
it.
knows how to pay, pay the bill and then buy the stuff. He's
Yes.
actually in the game, like probably around, we're saying before 18, some of them will start. My client was a little severe at 9 years old. He was teaching all this. I don't know, maybe 12, 13 to let them see it.
Yeah.
So don't judge me. I have an 8-year-old, and
Not at all.
we have. I was teaching him about interest,
Okay.
and he wanted to buy a video game, but he didn't have the cash. So I told him that Dad and I will loan him the money, but we're going to charge him interest on that.
Make him think
Yes.
twice about it too.
Yes, and
Yes, it's
so
smart.
we've been chatting about interest and how that's an asset that we have, and we'll let it. Like it would be working for us, but if you want to buy that video game, you can borrow the money, but then we need an extra dollar back on that money we loaned to you.
That's great.
That's
That's a
awesome.
great idea.
That's
Yes,
really
and then he
great.
can pay it back with his allowance money.
I
so.
love that.
You can start at
Yeah.
any age. There's no
Right.
too young of an age. Like with the 529s, I show each kid. You see, I started this when you were not zero, but a month or two old.
Yes.
Now look, you see, you're 10 years old. Look what happened.
That's
you see how this
crazy.
Yes.
accumulated. And these things get out of control, and it's pretty neat because then all 11 of them will have and then when the parents see the same thing, then they sometimes go for the prepaid. Florida prepaid, because that will be an automatic.
Yes.
And then this could be, post-grad. A lot of these kids are getting scholarship. It's probably not even
Right.
going to be used.
Correct.
Right.
It's possible it's going to roll into Roths, or they'll take the hit and, pay off their houses.
Yeah, sure.
Totally. Yeah. And I think too, from like the parent's perspective, modeling good financial habits so that your children can see it. I sit down with folks all the time where it's like a taboo topic, or maybe there's shame around money.
Right.
So from an emotional standpoint, maybe showing, how I always say for couples, like when you get married, what's mine is yours and what's yours is mine. So showing that and modeling that to your children by having those conversations in front of them, and showing them like, yes, we are doing a budget. Like, I don't care how much you earn, everybody needs some sort of
budget.
like plan for where funds are going. Because if you don't tell them where to go, they're going to tell you where to go.
Right.
So
Yeah.
showing that to your kids, explaining to them 529s, explaining to them, the value of a dollar, and like delayed gratification too, of like, I think we're in this age of social media, right? We scroll, we order something, it's there, lickety split. Maybe saying, hey, like before we make these big purchases, yeah, you could pay interest if you want, or you could wait till you have the money and not pay
Yes.
any interest.
Yes.
So delayed gratification is so huge, and it's like showing your kids that is key for them to approach the world in like not only a humble way, but like a wise way of like not running to get that loan, and not knowing what they're doing, because a lot of kids, you guys, I'm telling you, like the student loan burden right now is huge. Adults, we are priced out of like buying homes because we're burdened. I read a stat that was staggering. The average student loan borrower today owes around $38,000. Like that is crippling.
That's
and the
crippling,
payments
yes.
are insane. So modeling those behaviors to your kids and facilitating those conversations super early of showing an 8-year-old an interest rate
I
is
love
so
that so
powerful.
much.
Yeah, that was
I mean, it's
Wow,
only
like,
a
kudos to
dollar,
you.
okay? I'm not charging them AFR.
Yeah, like walk before you run. But just showing that, like, that'll put you behind by X% instead of just waiting or maybe not doing, the thing that you want to buy. So,
The
Yeah, I think
modeling
that-
thing is enormous, because I had the reverse, where maybe 10 years ago I had a client who came to us. I mean, he owed back taxes of almost $1 million. He's living in a fantasy. And him and his wife spend, I don't know, 200% of what they take in. And they were making about $500,000 a year and spending $1 million a year.
Wow.
So,
You don't
but
have an
what's
income
funny is they
problem.
walk in. We're trying to discuss an offering compromise. We're trying to,
I could even
do a
imagine.
blowout here. So what happens is, it was close to Christmas time. Guy comes in with a piece of paper, and his wife, they're sitting there. I said, what are those pieces of paper? We're discussing the offering compromise. This is what each of my 3 kids wants for Christmas. Now, one was 28 years old, one was 22,
my goodness.
and one was 15. This is what they want
Stop.
for, my son wants these $5,500 for these new rims he wants to put on his car. Each list for the 3 kids had 20 things on each of them. And I looked at him and I said, bro, man, you have no money. You got to. What you should be telling your kids, right? They're modeling bad behavior.
Right.
What you should be. There should be no. Zero.
I'm literally mortified.
These people are going down.
mouth
They're
is
going,
gaping
they're
open
going
like
to
a
bankruptcy.
codfish.
They're going all. I mean, the client was in our office maybe 1 or 2 years. We did a couple of returns and then disappeared.
Right.
Wow.
Probably went to a bankruptcy. Definitely, this is a classic
Oh my
bankruptcy.
God.
So
Right,
let's
it's
talk about
shocking.
that, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about gifting.
Yeah.
I really feel like we missed the opportunity for our kids to ask for money for their birthdays and holidays, right? Everybody feels this need to buy them things to open, okay? But I wish we could normalize, just give them the $10 in their bank account. If we open the bank account when they're born, right? And most kids, let's not talk about the
Yeah.
25-year-old, but
Yeah.
the younger than 10, the value you buy for them, they're not familiar with it, right?
Yes.
They're
Correct.
excited to have that Barbie. So grandparents,
Yes.
aunts and uncles, maybe instead of spending $50 on
Yes.
that gift, get them a $25 gift. They still get the gratification of opening
Right.
something,
Yes.
but now you're building wealth for their future.
Yes, we're literally having this conversation now because our first grandchild is 2.5, right? And I'm not a tchotchke person. I don't like just don't buy me something that's just like a
Yeah,
candle.
I
or
buy
be
myself
frozen.
those anyway.
I don't
Yeah.
even like that.
No, it'll be
like
a
the scent
re-gift
you
situation.
chose.
It's a re-gift situation.
I don't want tchotchke.
He knows.
But I
Yeah,
feel
you know.
that way about her. Like she's 2.5 years old. She doesn't even understand the concept.
Right.
There's 60 gifts under the tree. She's just like, wah, wah, wah. And I'm looking at Mark and I'm going, why are we going to buy 5 or 10 gifts just so that why don't we put the money in a bank account and we'll give her like one doll.
Yes.
She's not even going to remember.
She won't remember next year. No.
She has something to open. She's happy. She'll play with it for the afternoon. We're good to go. But I feel like it's such a waste. Like, why can't we do something that has actual substance?
But it's not normalized.
socially
It's
acceptable.
not
And it's
socially
not glamorous.
acceptable.
It's not
No,
fun.
it's
It's
not.
not exciting. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
by investing in their future, you now have maybe given them a down payment for their first car when they turn
know.
16.
Nobody
Like, how
huge.
great is
Yes.
that?
But you're judged.
You're judged.
I feel so judged.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably the most important thing you could ever teach a kid is not to feel judged and to be
Right.
confident and never to have that type of pressure. The way I was raised in a big Italian family, the Palermos out of New
great
York,
food.
gosh.
they could, I swear, not one single relative gives one care about what other people think about them.
Right.
Not
I
one.
love that.
Not
That's
at
amazing.
all. They're not even concerned at all.
That's
and even if it's
incredible.
said to their face, they'll laugh in their face.
The Italians, I
like
love
that,
it.
That's the way we are. So I've been lucky. I've had some, but for people who don't, I've been lucky to have like very confident family members. You got to remember, is that person going to pay your bills? The one who's
No.
judging you?
No.
No.
Are they going to now, put the down payment on your kid? If they're going to do that,
No.
great. Keep judging me. But they're not making it. They're not writing out. They're not opening up their checkbook
No.
to pay for things.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break.
No.
I agree.
No.
Okay. What is the most common financial mistake 18-year-olds are making within their first year of independence? And I think we covered it a little bit.
Credit card debt.
Credit card
Yes.
debt. Credit
Yes.
card debt.
When I went to FAU,
Vultures.
when I was in college, when I first went in, prior to that, applications in the mail, Visa, MasterCard, ding, ding,
so
ding,
many.
ding, ding,
Constantly.
ding,
How
ding,
about
ding.
Discover.
the stand?
Discover card.
Back then, yeah.
What
Oh
about
my
the
gosh.
stands on campus
Oh,
where
yeah.
you got
Yeah,
a
the
free
table.
T-shirt?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Open a
don't know about
credit
you, but
card.
I was in college. I'd do
Yeah.
anything for a free
They did some
T-shirt.
really good swag at the college campus.
Do you remember those
Like,
booths?
sure.
I do
remember
remember
it.
it.
I see myself at the fair walking the quad. It was right there.
Macy's. You go to Macy's and they're like, oh, we'll give you 25% more
Right.
off of your purchase if you take out our. I'm like, it's a lie.
Yes.
It's a trickster.
Yes.
And then they laugh, but it is. You're tricksters.
Yeah, it's been super socially acceptable forever to have a credit card,
Yes.
right? And we are big Dave Ramsey folks, so we are like
Yes.
stay out of debt, build wealth, and it's not glamorous and it's not fun. But swiping the card is obviously a psychological exercise. It's
Yes.
easier to say, oh, I'll just do it later. I'll pay the interest, no big deal. Or the biggest fallacy, 0% interest for the first year. Well, what if you don't pay? Then you have 17, 20, 25% interest.
Crazy.
So
Yeah.
it's easy. So as someone's parent, right? Like instilling the value of $1 and staying out of debt and facilitating the conversation about what an interest rate is, like it all comes back, and kind of having also that conversation of, like Artie was saying, like the shame around, not caring what people think. It's not glamorous to build wealth. Building wealth and staying out of debt is like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
Like it's not fun. It's not glamorous. You're not going to make a quick buck overnight.
That's right.
And no one knows, what you're doing behind closed doors. So like if you give your child, that one Barbie instead of 10 gifts, but you just put away $1,000 for them, that is completely life-changing, but no one behind the curtain will know what's going on.
That's right.
So instilling the value,
The
right?
landfills are being filled.
Right.
Filled with trucks, landfills being
Barbies.
filled
Tchotchkes.
with all this stuff.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Playrooms.
Yes.
Stuff that you played with for years. What was the funny thing? I was trying to teach someone about the psychology of this because in our practices, sometimes all of our practices, sometimes you'll have clients who are gamblers from zero to going right to bankruptcy. But I used to say, like with a credit card and also a chip, they convert from green cash that's sitting there in
Yes.
paper to a chip. So
Yes.
now the chip is not real in
It's
your
not
brain.
real.
Sure.
So
It's like a
now if you had to
dissonance
sit
from
here and
it.
put
Funny money.
hundreds of
Right.
dollars down on the
Yes.
table, you go, oh my God,
Oh
look
my
what I'm
gosh.
doing. Same thing with a credit card. If you went
Yes.
out, now I'm not advocating, this is past my time now. I'm not advocating that we go back to cash and people walk around and
Thank
getting
you, Artie.
change and
Cash
shit.
is
love
king,
it.
but
But the point is,
I
when
love
you
that
go
idea.
to that credit card, it's not real. It's
Yeah.
not like taking a $100 bill out
It's
and
the
paying
Disney-
and making change.
It's
Yeah.
the Disney Magic Band. We
Yes,
were
yes.
just
Yes,
in
it is.
Orlando, and everybody has this Magic Band, and you
Yes.
can choose 200 different styles of Magic Bands.
Yeah.
But you know what happens? You swipe it for a drink. You swipe it. It's imaginary money, and at
not
the end of the
seeing it
weekend,
go. Yeah.
you've
Yeah,
spent.
so that's the trick.
Yeah.
and
It's a
don't ever
credit
put
card
one
and
on
a-
your
and a
child. Don't
chip.
ever put one on your child.
Yeah.
It regrets. Okay.
No
Don't
regrets.
let
Or a
them have.
2.5-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she has or a
my
2.5-year-old.
Okay, so there are some upsides to credit cards with 18-year-olds. I think as a parent, when my kids go away to school, I'll want them to have credit cards so I can finance an emergency, right? Very important, right?
You do that with a debit card, can you not?
Correct, we can. There's also some other upsides to a credit card. You're building credit for your future, okay? But it's about teaching our kids to do it responsibly.
Right.
There are great credit cards that will give children perks for traveling, okay? So that's what I use, but we pay it off monthly.
Every single month.
Every month.
Yeah,
And
no
so,
interest.
but then we get to travel the world for free.
That's right.
So I think it's about teaching our young adults how to do it responsibly and how for them to get the benefit of of using these credit cards, right? And
That's
not
smart.
Having the conversation before they leave your home.
Yes.
It's got to be an
Yes.
ongoing conversation when they're teenagers.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And I
Totally.
agree. We absolutely have not paid for a plane ticket in
Yeah.
1,000 years.
Yeah.
Same.
I
at
say
least.
if anyone's gonna have a credit card, pay it off monthly, and then explain like what is credit, what is a credit score. Most adults don't even know what a credit score is, honestly. Like
that's
it's like
an
a big
interesting
mystery.
topic. You're right.
So
Yeah.
like there's tons of myths out there, right? Like if I go, if you apply for a mortgage or a gargantuan loan, like yes, you will have a ding on your credit score, but there's like such things as soft inquiries and hard
Yeah.
inquiries, and I think as young people, it's kind of like taboo to say like what's a credit score? What's your credit score? I'm never gonna sit down at a dinner party and ask people
Yeah.
what their credit score is. But like, why
I don't
aren't
think you'll
we
be invited
talking?
back.
Right, exactly.
Exactly right.
But like, why aren't we? We should be having the conversations with our children to
Yes.
explain to them the value of a good credit score and what
Yes.
that means in terms of buying a home, buying a car, but also keeping the debt under control, but putting the choice in their court too is
Yes.
huge. Like, if you
Without a
take
doubt.
away the choice. Then what? They might, go rack up a $20,000 loan that or bill that you don't want to help cover, or that will debilitate them as well.
So I have a question. Can I pose a question?
You're doing
Absolutely.
great. Go
Okay.
for it.
I have a question. So when do you revoke that parent financed credit card?
That's coming. That's
sorry.
coming because I know so many. This is a burning issue for me because I
Yeah.
have so many friends. You got to be
So
careful.
relatable.
Got to be careful
Yep.
how you speak into when your friends are sharing. But that bankroll their adult children. Like your kid's 23 years old, pay your own rent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I see it
yeah.
all the time.
I don't think my mother paid. I was gone when I was barely 18. I don't think she ever paid my rent.
Same.
I mean, I worked 2 to 3 jobs to put myself through school.
Yeah.
I had student loans. It's the same
I
story.
had those
but-
crazy student loans that I had to pay off.
Great, yeah,
Why
right.
are you paying your kid's car payment?
Yeah.
And their auto insurance.
Yeah.
And then they graduate from school and it's like, oh, we're going to give them a year to find the job that they feel comfortable with and we're going to pay. No. But I mean, that's everybody has their own.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the conversation
How
of like
nice.
the value of a dollar and associating that with hard work. And as soon as income starts coming in, income is your best tool to do anything in life, honestly.
money.
Yeah. So you need that income. So as soon as that income starts, I think, parents, and I have these conversations all the time, and it's not easy to cut the cord, but it has to be some sort of conversation of boundaries, right? Of like, we have as parents our own financial goals. We have to retire at a certain time frame comfortably, and we don't want to have to rub pennies together in our retirement. And we want the best for you. And so, what that means is fly, birds, fly.
Many years ago, a financial planner told me, and this was pretty interesting because, I'm sitting there, oh, yeah, I'm going to do everything for my kid. And he said, well, no. What you're supposed to do first, Artie, is you're supposed to secure your retirement first
Right.
Yes.
before your kid. He goes, you know how many choices you have at 70 or 80 years old to start retiring, saving for your retirement? There's no choices. You're out of time,
Right.
Jack.
Your
finance that.
runway's
he goes,
gone.
Can't
your
finance
kid,
retirement.
your kid can borrow money to go to college. Your kid can work. They can wait to go to school. They have 100 choices.
Yes.
You have
100%.
0. And wouldn't it be lovely that you spoil the kid rotten, give all the money, and then about the time they're married and they have 3 kids in their house, you now become a burden on them. Isn't that
Yes,
great?
right.
It would be
amazing.
like do you want that to happen? And then the answer is no.
No.
Then with you, they secure
plan,
that
yes.
portal of that. And then if you have more beyond that, then you can help.
Yes,
That's
yep.
what they said.
I don't-
100%.
I think that
great advice.
to go back to that parenting question, I feel like your role as a parent constantly shifts through as they grow. So Jordan is 30 now, right? I'm
Okay.
still struggling with this.
Really?
So we've always modeled. We're Dave Ramsey people too.
Love it.
But now he's married. He has a house. He has. I'll give you an example of this year alone. Okay, so I hate their sofa. Hate it. It's like it's not big enough.
Such a mom.
This is great, Tiffany.
Not big enough
Yeah.
for my rear end. Like it's not. There's no deep seating in it. There's no place to put.
You want
like,
a cushier seat.
do not like their living room furniture. All right.
Okay.
It doesn't cover your assets.
It does not.
Okay, got it.
So I want them to get a new sofa so badly.
Okay.
Like it's in my best interest. And so, of course, they picked out their sofa. It's beautiful. It's like amazing. I want this sofa now.
Yeah.
Like it is doable. We can do this sofa and we can all be comfortable when we visit. And so it's expensive. And I'm like, we were part of the shopping, which we just happened to be there.
Yeah.
They picked the sofa. And I'm like, oh, well, it's too expensive for them.
Oh, yeah.
And my son doesn't want to pay interest. Winning.
Yeah,
love
and
it,
so
love
he's
it.
going to
Made the
save the
choice.
money and buy it with cash. And they're having their conversation separately from us because that's appropriate. And they decided they're going to save the money. So then Mark and I go into the bedroom and I'm like, let's buy it now, right now. Let's do it because I wanted it,
Yeah.
you know? And so he's like, no, they need to go through the exercise of saving their money for this purchase. They'll feel better. And months. Artie,
Yep.
months of hating the sofa go by. I'm like, so
That's
how
great.
close are we?
Oh, I can just see you doing that.
Maybe we could match their savings.
Yeah, keep doing it.
He's
Yeah.
30 years old. He needs to buy his own sofa. This was
Right.
an ongoing conversation about the sofa, and they did it, and they bought the sofa, and they're so
love it.
proud of the sofa, and it's great. It's an amazing
So
sofa.
you and Mark did a really great
Oh,
job
it was so
teaching
hard,
them
but
financial
and
literacy.
delayed gratification.
I actually think
Yes.
It was,
this
that
is
was a struggle bus.
perfect example of what a great job you guys did.
It was a struggle bus, man.
It's based. Well, there was a movie I saw that was talking similar to this, but had to do with a football team. There was a point where he says, if you don't do what you just did and let them buy the sofa, what he says is, you know what you're doing? You're damaging them. You're crippling them for life. That was like it was in a certain movie. It was about a football team, and he was saying you got to be hard on them to do the training and what they have to do, and if you don't do that, you're crippling them for life. So what you did by suffering, hanging off the sofa, the old sofa, by suffering, you basically did the right thing, and now they could stand on their own. And plus pride. A lot of you don't
great.
realize
Yes.
if you earned everything. This is like something was instilled in me. There's no like winning a contest or winning an athletic competition or saving your own money or buying your own things responsibly. That pride and confidence. Like, why would you take that away from somebody? You got to let him have it.
For comfort,
my
Artie, for
husband-
comfort.
That's right.
My husband told him to say that. He
The
prepped
balance
it.
sheet. It's the balance sheet. It's the
a good
assets. It's the
exercise.
assets.
Yeah.
So also, once your kids are no longer dependent,
Yeah.
Artie and I know this,
Yes.
that we're going to have gifting issues.
Yep. Big
So
time.
we need to think about that, you know, as long as your kids are dependent, you can take care of them and support them. But now that he's 30, if that sofa was more than $19,000 or maybe.
Yeah.
Who's buying a sofa for $19,000?
I don't know. We had a look at it.
Oh God!
Maybe you went to
there-
our age for
There's
that.
some that are $100,000.
Okay, wait, $19,000 what?
$19,000 is the
tax
current
exclusion.
annual gift you can give to your
Yeah.
son, but you and Mark can do it together. So at $38,000, but
And to the spouse.
and to the spouses, yes. But so that's something we have to look at.
Wait. What happens after $19,000?
Now you have a gift tax filing, and it eats
Yeah.
at your lifetime exclusion. So that's something that I work with a lot of my high net worth individuals that are financing their adult children's lives.
Yeah.
Is what is a loan between the children and the parents, and what is truly a gift. And it's quickly when you don't plan for it, when you're a high net worth individual and you're not planning for this maintaining quality of life standard that you're planning on doing, you eat at your lifetime exclusion. I'm sure Artie
Yep,
sees it all the
big time,
time.
yep.
You're eating at it quickly because $19,000 per recipient, per donor to each recipient. I mean, that goes quickly. Yeah.
Okay, that was way over my head. So,
So
we're
it's
just
our annual gift tax.
Yeah. Well, you could gift.
okay.
Pretty cool.
Excellent. When I get to a place where I can give him $19,000 a year, I'll come.
Yeah, you give us a buzz.
Come and ask you.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just a sofa, guys. Let's see. What are we talking about next? Most young adults don't magically become fully independent at 18. In fact, the large majority of young adults are not ready to be on their own at this point at 18. So, what are some of the hidden line items that blindside parents the most? When their child becomes an adult at 18, that 18 to 27 mark. It should not be 27. You shouldn't be bankrolling your kid at 27. But stuff that no one warns you about until you're staring at another $300 unexpected charge.
I got one thing that happened to a client where in the application process of trying to get into colleges, sometimes the kid or the parent are not paying attention to the ball, and they may miss certain deadlines that could cost them where they have to pay like a semester of college if they miss certain deadlines. So in certain situations, if you're not on top of this when they first become a junior in high school,
Okay.
from that point, it's like a 2-year run up. You can actually make a mistake, either the parent or the kid, and how you get financing, what school.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you going to get certain benefits, like different scholarships? And the child, maybe if they're obsessed or at least given those tools since early on watching their money, this is their biggest play. You could explain this to them as a sophomore. They could be so financially literate, you get them in the position that when they're freshman or sophomore in high school, then you could say, hey, look, this is the game that's going to happen coming up. Now, if you want to make sure you get the most out of the bang for your buck, you can come in and try and get as many scholarships and apply properly and be on top of this stuff, like a maniac.
Okay.
And that may appeal to someone who's already financially, been, tutored by your child.
Yeah. And I think too, like that's such a great point. And then putting the ball in their court in the psychological way of like, I'm not going to do this for you. I'm not going to file your FAFSA, your financial aid application for you. I will help and guide you.
Yeah.
But deadlines and things like that are up to you. You're in the driver's seat. And, as a parent, the line items really add up. So, you asked, you have room and board, you have food costs, you have groceries, you have fund money, you have books, iPads, everything is a computer now. Everything is. So those are line items that you'll have to look at for your kid, but be so honest with yourself as a parent of like, what is my true budget for this? And you cannot neglect your own retirement for this, but like, hey, you're in charge as the student to find the deadlines and to abide by the deadlines. And I can give you X dollars, from, if there's a 529 plan, that's awesome. If there's a Florida prepaid plan, that's even better. If there's nothing, which lots of families don't have, maybe haven't done the planning, unfortunately, if you need to do planning, call me. But if you have not, if you have not done the planning,
as soon as possible.
Yeah, exactly. But if you haven't done the planning and, all judgment aside, hey, I make X, I put away this much for my emergency fund and for my bills and for my retirement, and I can truly give you $300 or $400 a month to live, meaning groceries, fun, whatever. So I can pay, that much or more for your tuition if you abide by these deadlines and file the paperwork. If you don't, and it's, $20K a semester, I can only give you, maybe $5,000 a semester. So you need to give yourself the best chance for scholarships, for financial aid. So putting the ball in their court is so huge and kind of letting them go to a point. And I'm sure I'm not a parent yet, but it's probably hard for some parents to let the reins go a little bit, but showing them that discipline is huge.
And my thing in there was my father was the king of repeaters. Repeat. I took up that throne when he passed, when he was 85. So I'm the king of repeaters. One of the things in this, a lot of times you'll say, oh, did you apply? When's the deadline? Oh, it's supposed to be between this date and it's in that date. Now, did you call them? Well, they said when they call them. Yeah. They said call anyway. Call.
Ask questions, yes.
Get it in writing, call. You have to keep doing that because sometimes they can let that go by and all of a sudden, oh, it was nice. You were going to get the $35,000 for the semester, but you missed it by a week, so now you got to pay it.
Yeah.
That's a little, just a tiny swing, $35,000. I mean,
but then there has to be a consequence.
Yeah.
But then there has to be a consequence to that. They missed their deadline. They've got to pay. They either pay the
$35
$35
for you as a parent,
or they take a semester off and they work.
They work.
But they don't get to sit in their bedroom and play video games, which is the trend.
Yeah, I want to bring up a separate point too, and this is huge. So we have an office in Toledo, Ohio, and we have an office in Boca Raton, Florida. I grew up in Ohio. Ohioans in the Toledo area are very industrious. They're blue collar. They're hardworking folks. But guess what? Not everyone needs to go to college all the time. So we're in a society where it's like, oh, you go to high school, you go to college, and you take out loans no matter what. There are so many options, and this is part of the conversation to have with kids is, value of a dollar, working hard, all these things. But like you may not need to go to college for, so if you don't, maybe there's a vocational program that you should go
Please
to.
go to a vocational program.
Yeah.
No one's going to be able to fix things in
need
like 20
people
years.
with skills.
Everybody's a content creator. Somebody needs to fix the elevator. Somebody's got to fix the elevator.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to fix
You
it.
may not
Yeah.
need to take out loans for that, or maybe a 2-year program versus a 4-year program.
Right.
So there's tons of things you can do.
So I want to add to that because I feel like it's frowned upon if you start your college career in a community college.
Right.
It's cheaper.
You
it's
have
more
to.
accessible.
Yeah.
And
I
you
had
can
to.
transfer to a 4-year college, and your degree
I
says the
started-
same
No
same
shame in the
name.
game.
Your degree, when you transfer
Yeah.
after those 2 years of gen eds, you're just paying a cheaper rate per gen
Right.
ed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you transfer to that 4-year school, you're still an alumni of that 4-year school.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't downplay your degree.
Not at all.
Let me tell you, I don't know where you guys went to school, but how often does in conversation, where did you take your freshman gen eds at? Nobody
one
asks
did.
that
No.
question.
It's like a
Never.
continuation of high school.
Never
You know,
does.
a lot of
Matter
people
where
say the
you
first
went.
2 years is like,
Miami
Yeah.
Dade?
you know, no, I was BCC first 2 years, then I transferred to FAU for my remaining 3 years
Miami Dade.
to get the master's.
it.
Boosh.
Love it.
Miami
That's
Dade
what
and
I
Barry.
had to do.
I love it.
I think the tuition was like $600 a semester at BCC.
Yeah,
back
but
then.
it's significantly less
Someone should
expensive.
Google what it is now. I'm sure it's not that.
No, it's not.
Probably
It's definitely
book
not.
Yeah,
The
so
amount
like
of
community
anxiety.
college, it's a huge thing. Like, there's no shame in the game because those community college peeps who are hardworking and going after their dreams are probably purchasing the home when the
Yes.
kid who went to the state school or the Ivy League school is paying off loans and can't do anything and is debilitating. So it's debilitating.
Well, your first 4
So-
years doesn't matter anyway. I've never hired anyone, feel free, and said, what school do you go to?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm a social worker, so this
Yep.
may not be. Have you ever said to somebody, oh, it's the school?
No.
Like,
never
and
seen
people
that.
are obsessed
Same.
with the first
Doesn't
4
matter.
years. Who cares where your kid gets their bachelor's degree?
I agree.
You're accumulating so much debt so that they can go to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
There's
I
a
don't
clip
understand.
of Dave Ramsey, and he is, if you don't follow him on
I do
Instagram,
endorse
he's
him.
a great follow because he's just really funny. But there's
is.
a clip of him going, you know what? Because he has this huge Ramsey empire now.
Yes.
They have everything everywhere. He's like, I have people who went to Vanderbilt, and they work for me. So it doesn't matter where you went. It's what you do with it. And instilling the value in your kids to make the best of their, what they can do is huge. It's huge.
And I'm going to plug him because he has a great curriculum, just like the adult. What is it?
Yeah, Financial Peace University.
Okay, well,
yeah.
they have one
I
for
always recommend
teenagers.
it. Oh, good.
So
okay.
they have a version for
Fantastic.
teenagers. You can sit with your teenager and go through the same principles
Okay.
to, pre-teach to them about these
Yeah,
concepts,
the
but
baby
not
steps. And,
so-
yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
There you go, Dave. Love ya. Follow me on Instagram.
There it is.
DHOOGE. Okay, so next, for parents who feel behind or they simply don't have the means to save, what are guys, not the highbrow math stuff, like dumb it down for regular people. What are the smartest next steps they can take right now?
Well, I have something, and I'll always, we have clients, let's say in the restaurant business, different franchises, any restaurant. The food cost is 25% roughly to 30%. If you eat at home and stop going out and eating, okay, you could get 3 to 4 of the same meals at home.
Yes.
So right away, I've seen people spend thousands and thousands a month and they're strapped. They have no more money. Now, if you eat at home, I'm bringing back $500 to $1,500 a month in.
It's all about cash flow,
I mean,
baby.
it's sad to say, but, I could go to Fresh Market, get a filet mignon, like
Yes.
sitting right here, and this would cost 4 times that or 3 times that. And
That's
plus
how
you
good
eat
of a
healthy.
cook you are, Artie.
That's right. Well,
My poor
Italian,
family, we
yeah.
eat out because
Yeah, that's one way to get money back into the game.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
eating out too. Believe me.
Yeah, I would say like doing
Dinner
a
solves
budget.
everything.
I think that like with parenting, I'm sure, of course, I'm not a parent, but like with social media, you see all these other super moms doing it all, right? Like driving the fancy car, they're in the fancy house, they must have everything together, they must have the most perfect college fund for their kids, and you don't know what's going on. So I would say focus on your own situation, focus on your own peace. I read something recently that says solve for peace. So always solve for peace in your life. And if you're looking forward to your kids, education, and you are like, I can't really save and I'm behind the 8 ball, budgeting is huge. And then sitting down and writing out what you're looking to do with your funds. That's always step one for me with clients. Like, all right, in 3 years, what would you like to accomplish? In 5 years, what do you want to accomplish? Money-wise, emotionally, like physically, where do you want to be? And what's your standard of living? And then, translating that to your kids of like, okay, if I put away, I always say, okay, if we want to accomplish something quick, it's all about the cash flow. So if we can maybe keep an eye on the Amazon, maybe suspend the Amazon account. Maybe.
No, oh my
goodness.
I would say, shovel. I like visual. So I'm like, you got these buckets of money. You have your savings account. You have
love
this,
envelopes.
It's all
Yeah.
buckets.
Yes.
So, maybe this is our college fund and we're going to kind of shift from maybe putting money towards Amazon and fun and going out to dinner, although we all love to do those things, and shovel as much as we can in for the child for their benefit, and then having strict boundaries with those funds. And I'm sure that really comes into play with high net worth people.
So interesting. I have 2 young kids, and I'm a professional service provider, and I drive a minivan, and it's
Let's go. I
I love it, and it's about staying in your lane, right? There is a comedian who always talks about staying in your lane, right? I can't do it; it's out of my lane.
Yeah.
And I think just knowing what your lane is, like right now, I'm a working mom. That's my lane, right? Doesn't matter if I can afford that BMW or
Right.
the whatever.
Focus on
it's
what's in
about
front of you,
what's in
yeah.
front of me, and not keeping up with the next professional because they may not have 2 kids at home, right?
Right,
Like they
right,
may have
right.
a different situation. I also think it's important. We do this personally. I know a lot of people were math people. We have Excel schedules at home. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we look at our buckets of
different than the
expenses.
average.
Okay.
Yes,
And
look at
so
your budget.
look at the budget. Look at those
Be aware.
subscriptions.
Yes.
It's the
Oh my
gosh, subscription
The
cleanup.
You know,
subscriptions.
the subscription cleanup, that adds up to a lot. So if you haven't started saving and you can only maybe squeeze out $100, cancel the subscriptions. You've already watched those seasons. You're not going back. You subscribe
not
to
going
watch
back.
that one show.
Hit up a
Start
friend and use theirs.
But not even.
Yeah,
you've already,
that's right.
you've
The
already-
number.
I'm like, what's the login?
Yeah. No, don't do that. That's not right.
No.
No, but
No, but you've already watched those shows. You're probably not logging back into that subscription you
Right,
bought last
right, right.
spring.
No.
So it's time to clean that up and take that differential and put it into savings. The other part is being honest and being honest with yourself. Work with a financial advisor and tell them, my kids are 16, they're 14, we're
Yes.
looking
And we
at
have
college.
not a lot of time,
That
right?
2 to 4 years, though, can add up to a little bit. It's better than nothing. And being honest with those conversations, don't be embarrassed because you think the Joneses next door have this perfect
100%.
life and you're embarrassed.
100%.
I think
There you
it's, Artie and I get to see a
Yeah.
lot of financial information, and what looks perfect
It's
is
not.
not perfect.
Yeah. When you peel back the curtain, it's
I read a book years ago called The Millionaire Next Door.
Great
Right.
book.
Okay, and that was a great book because, first of all, the people who are the millionaires that you don't know they are because they live in normal
Yes.
neighborhoods and all that.
because they dress like homeless
But usually
people.
one of the people,
That is
of
true.
one of the couple, the husband or the wife, if you ask them, what did you spend on clothing last year, they know exactly what they spent. I remember when Brett was going to buy his first place, he was in, I think, his mid-20s. He didn't know whether he could afford the payment. So my brother said, I want you to take QuickBooks for 3 months. I want you to log every single penny. So he got financials, and Brett's a CPA. He's one of the partners at our office. He saw, at Starbucks in a year,
Yes.
he's spending $6,800.
Oh, my
And you
goodness.
didn't
That's a
really
Roth
realize
contribution.
it.
I'm so
And you
glad you have
said,
that
well,
quantified.
It says $6,800, and I said, just come to the office and get the coffee here.
Yes.
So, or you'll save $5,000. I mean, 5,000 divided by 12, it's $400 and some a month.
If you invest that over 10
Just
years,
from not stopping there.
I
Correct.
just
and
had
just
this
think about
conversation.
that with your Starbucks and your subscriptions. I mean, we could have $10,000 put away in a couple years.
Okay, so that's my point. I was literally going to use, I call it the Starbucks factor. I had
Yeah,
this
I didn't know that.
conversation
So true,
this
so
morning
true.
with a girlfriend, and I was like, I don't go to Starbucks because it's $10 a pop, and that's easily $200 to $250 a month, depending
100%.
upon,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money. So you can't pay for, the child's 14, 15 years old. It's not realistic to think that I'm going to be able to save enough money to pay for their college education, but I can cover some of the startup and have a nice little emergency cushion or a nice little cushion to help with the transition so it doesn't tax the family. You can start by just eliminating Starbucks, and now we're going to get
Yes.
sued.
I also think that taking that Starbucks factor, and just maybe not even putting it into a 529, putting it into a separate
Savings
account
account.
for those surprise expenses, those books that are no longer, those textbooks that are no longer $40 a pop. Like those are surprise expenses.
It's a cushion you need to have.
that can help you buffer some of those expenses as your adult children are aging out of the home.
Yeah. So I want to give just quick, if you're listening today and you want just a quick 1, 2, 3 of how to get started on just a simple budget. One, I would say print out your last 3 months of spending and just use a highlighter and a pen, just go through and take a look, start a spreadsheet and look at your fixed expenses and your discretionary expenses, which is where you'll find your Starbucks.
Yes.
And then from there say, okay, how much money could I reappropriate, to Whitney's point, to saving for said goal, which in this case would be, maybe a little extra money for my kids' education and living expenses, and then make those changes. Then create the budget, and then every month what your budget is for all these certain expenses, and then going from there. And there's great apps out there. Everything you can automate.
Yes.
Everything is on the
Everything.
phone.
Yes.
I like to write on a piece of paper because that's me, but then I go in and put it in a spreadsheet so I have each tab of a month. But obviously I'm a financial planner, so I'm a little type A. But the average person, you can go.
Good.
Dave Ramsey has an excellent app called Every Dollar.
Yes.
So you can hook up your checking account, your savings account, and you can kind of aggregate and look at your balance sheet and calculate your own net worth. Never too early to start. And then you can also put financial goals in there. You need someone like me to help you achieve the goals, but you can still outline them. But you can look at every single dollar that comes in and every single dollar that goes out, so that you're telling your money where to go and how to do it. So
You got to do exactly what you said, because we get clients sometimes, let's say, who depend on $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 refund so they could pay for vacation or pay real estate taxes or some purchase. And a lot of times I say, why don't you just get no refund and have that money come in and be saving and sending it to all the different things. And they say this is why you have to know what you spend and track it. If I had an extra $100 to $200 a week in my paycheck, I'd blow it. I'd spend it on stupid crap.
The Amazon.
And so then if you don't get that refund and you get it in your paycheck, they're going to spend it. That's why you have to do it as soon as possible.
Yes.
It has to be a monthly contribution
Has to be
set
automated.
aside. It has to be automated, man. We have
Automate
automation now.
Man, you guys are so great. Thank you for your time today.
thank you for having me. This was
Really
It's a lot of
Thanks
fun.
for having us.
Yeah.
Yes, anytime.
Great group here.
All right,
Yeah, great group. I
If you've
loved
got
it.
questions, we didn't cover something that is burning within you, put it in the comments and they will respond to it on YouTube and, wherever you find us. And you're on the platform of your choice. So thank you. Have a great day. Have a great week. And we'll see you next time on This Is Now Parenting Teens Today.